My name is Bruce Bach. I was a judge for 23 years in Fairfax and the chief judge in Fairfax for 7 years. I retired in 2001 and was very happily working with the McCammon Group doing mediations around Virginia and sitting occasionally as a designated judge. I didn't really know Justice Hassell. I knew he was the Chief Justice. It was January of '05, and he had called me a couple of times, and I tried to call him back. Frankly, I thought he wanted me to go down and try somebody on the Board of Supervisors in Southwest Virginia or something, was why he was calling. And 7 o'clock at night, I had just poured myself a Manhattan, and I was getting ready to leave with my wife for Florida the next day. I picked up the phone, and this person said, this is Leroy Hassell. And he said, Judge Bach, I'd never spoken to him in my life. He said, Rob Baldwin, who is the Executive Secretary of the Supreme Court, is leaving us. And I want you to come down here and be the Executive Secretary until we can find somebody else. And of course, he could have knocked me over with a pen. Something I never dreamed of, something I had no desire to do at all. And I said, well, Mr. Chief Justice, I'm really honored, but number one, I'm not qualified to do it. And number two, I don't really want to do it. And I've got this thing. And he said, oh, no. I think you're qualified. I think you can do it. I really want you to come. And I said, well, I thought I'd try. My wife and I are leaving tomorrow for Florida for a month. And he said, well, I'll wait a month for you to come back, but I want you to come. Well, at that point, I started thinking, I better start negotiating for how long. And so we started, I said, how long is this going to be, Chief? And he said, oh, I don't know, 6 months or a year, no more than. I said, no, I can't, maybe 90, how about 90 days? So we ended up on 3 to 4 months. Now, I don't know Justice Hassell. He says, I'll get a place for you to stay in Richmond. Daggone if he didn't arrange for a place to stay at a hotel in Richmond. And I came down, I didn't have any idea what was expected of me. And I think he probably called me because I'd run Fairfax for 7 years, which was a large organization. And I guess he wanted somebody who had some experience running a large organization. And I said, Justice, what do you want me to do to sort of just take care of this till you find a replacement, or just what do you say? Oh no, I want full speed ahead on everything. We have got all kinds of projects, and I want you involved in absolutely everything from the start. Well, I have never met a man that had more energy than Leroy Hassell did. He, I would say, was at the height. He'd just become Chief Justice. I would say he was at the height of his powers. He was a strong man, an energetic man, and kind of wore me into the ground. He had some faults, but his faults were all good faults. He wanted to do the right thing all the time, and if somebody would call him, he immediately wanted to take care of their problem. And I would find myself, he always called me Judge Bach, never called me Bruce, always called me Judge Bach, because I guess I was older than he was. And he would say, and I would say, now Chief, I called him Chief. I said, now Chief, I don't think you should do this. I think you're making a mistake doing this. Think about it overnight before you do it. And he would say, okay, I'm going to think about it. And every now and then he'd come in and say, well, I've thought about it and I think you're right, I'm not going to do it. Sometimes he'd come in and say, no, I'm going to do it anyhow. And he was usually right. And the one thing I can say about everything he did, some of which were controversial, his heart was absolutely in the right place on everything he did. And he was looking, he thought of the judges on the Supreme Court, the Court of Appeals, and I think really the Circuit Court and the District Court as his judges. And they were his people, and he wanted them to do the best they could, and he wanted things done right for him. For me, it turned out to be I think a real friendship with the man. I thought the world of him. You know, of course, he died much, much too young. But my time with him, he was young and he was strong and he was energetic and did a great job.